Welcome back to Things You Don't Know.
So glad to be with you all. We're celebrating a special milestone today.
And I'm Chandler Foster, and I'm happy to be here with you as we celebrate the 200th episode. Right, Dr. Weaver?
Yep, this is episode 201. We are celebrating our 200th podcast.
That number feels unreal. When this thing started, the idea was to get a few solid episodes out. Now, look,
And we've covered a lot of ground. Everyday items like toilet paper and vacuum cleaners, heavier topics like government cover ups, war, and the Caesar Drake story, and lighter episodes, awkward human sounds, and three variants of bizarre laws.
Today is a celebration episode. There are no big mysteries to solve, no history exam, just us taking stock. What we did, what we learned, and what we want to do next. And before we get too far, quick personal note. Chandler has been with us for about a year now. Been a good time.
Absolutely.
yeah, I joined after the show was already moving in progress, which was honestly the best way to step onto a fast train. I wasn't there for the earliest days, but I've been here long enough to feel like this show is part of my weekly life, and may I say I am honored to be a part of this team.
And we're glad to have you.
Yes, indeed, we are.
The dynamic changed friends in a good way. Chandler brought a different pacing, a younger person's perspective, and more of a modern lens, and questions that reflected what a lot of listeners are actually thinking.
Also, Chandler, you do fit the format, not just as the question guy, but as a co host who brings substance. That matters to me.
Well, I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it. And I'm just going to say this. If you're a listener who found us sometime in the last year, I'm basically your representative on the team.
Amen.
Here, here.
So let's start here. 200 episodes isn't just 200 topics, it's research time, recording time, editing time, and the fact that we just kept on showing up.
It's basically 200 attempts to make an abstract topic seem real and make sense. That's the part people don't always see. Turning an idea and a pile of notes into something organized, clear, and listenable.
Also, 200 episodes means we've built a kind of pattern. We often pick something ordinary and ask, why is it like this? Or we pick something serious and ask, what are the claims? What's the evidence? What's missing? And what do we still not know?
And there's a guiding principle behind all that. We've used this phrase a lot: boots on the ground history.
Right. Boots on the ground history is our way of saying that history isn't just past. It is past, but it's also the present and the future. All of that is connected. It's what people lived, what we're still living with, and what we're building, whether we realize it or not.
At its core, it's also a refusal to do what's called floating history, just dates and names like we all got in middle school. It's the ground level view. What did it feel like in this time? What people ate, what they wore, how they worked, how systems functioned, what incentives mattered, what information people had, and what they didn't. My very first topic, as I've said before, came about through a visit to a local graveyard at Dr. Weaver's suggestion. I found the oldest tombstone there, and this was a story of Caesar Drake, a great hero of the American Revolution in his own way, as important as Washington or John Adams.
And he did an unbelievably good job of uncovering information. Check out that podcast, if you will, Caesar Drake.
Yeah, that actually is a good podcast. That's part of the reason why we can do an episode on toilet paper and not treat it like a joke topic, because the details tell you about public health, supply chains, cultural norms, and how societies actually function.
When Chandler's talking about ordinary things like toilet paper, ferreting out the details is not trivia for us. Details is where the lessons are. That's kind of the point of this show. So here's the takeaway for after 200 episodes, and thank you for your trusting us with your time. Let's talk about everyday topics for a second. Toilet paper, vacuum cleaners, stuff you don't normally think about until it's missing or broken.
The toilet paper episode was a classic example of how something boring isn't really boring at all once you pull on the thread. Supply chains, history, public health, culture. Suddenly, it's not a small topic anymore.
No, it isn't. It's also a reminder that daily life is built on systems. People talk about history like it's only wars and presidents, but history is also sanitation, manufacturing, and how homes are designed.
Yeah, and you will really understand the impact of what these guys are saying when you are sitting on the toilet and suddenly you realize you're out of toilet paper. Mm-mm. Vacuum cleaners, the same thing. Same thing. On the surface, it's just a household appliance, but it ties into indoor air quality, allergies, technological changes, and even marketing, what people were told clean should look like.
Plus, those episodes are accessible. You can listen while cleaning the house and think, I didn't know any of this mattered.
And for me, as the resident historian, those episodes are an excuse to point out something very important. What used to be called annals history. Normal life is the majority of life. To truly understand a society, pay attention to the small details.
So, the takeaway after 200 episodes, everyday episodes are not filler. They're just how you build curiosity.
And they're also how boots on the ground history shows up. The ground is where people live.
Now, on the serious side, and yes, we've covered some pretty serious issues. Government cover ups. Caesar Drake, amazing story. An enslaved person who got his freedom, who joined basically an all white church back when that didn't happen, and so many other things he did. Just an amazing person. And other heavy episodes. These are the ones that stick with people.
And they also get the most intense reactions. When we do those episodes, listeners message us with comments like, I can't stop thinking about that, man. Or, wow, that really made me rethink what I've assumed all along.
And they should make you really rethink. But you have to be disciplined. Cover up is one of those words that can mean a range of things, from a narrow bureaucratic failure to a deliberate effort to hide wrongdoing, like in the molasses explosion of, or the pandemic, or other things of those nature.
Yeah, our job isn't to escalate, it is to clarify. What do we know? What do we suspect? What's sourced? What's rumor? And what's simply unanswered?
And that's why we've tried to build a tone that's serious without being too dramatic, if that makes sense. No breathless, you're not going to believe this stuff. Just, here are the facts, here are the inconsistencies, and here are the stakes.
The Caesar Drake coverage, which is a two-part episode, is a very good example. People want certainty, they want a clean ending. Real life doesn't always give you that. So we aim for accuracy. We're honest about uncertainty, and we look at things sometimes from multiple points of view.
And we also try to do something else, remind listeners that serious topics involve real people, that changes how you speak about them.
And it's also where boots on the ground applies again. The impact isn't theoretical. Decisions land on real lives. The present carries the past forward, and the future is shaped by whether or not we learned a lesson or repeated the mistake.
All right, let's lighten it up. Bizarre laws, awkward human sounds. Awkward human sounds. These episodes are maybe cathartic.
Well, I'd say so, Dr. Weaver, and they're also weirdly educational too. The Bizarre Law episodes are funny, but they're also a window into how laws get written, how they don't get cleaned up, and how governments sometimes just accumulate rules like clutter.
And from a history angle, those laws can be leftovers from moral panics, local disputes, attempts to control the smallest levels of behavior, not like not giving a donkey a bath. So even the ridiculous laws can have serious origins.
Yeah. And what you were referring to, Dr. Deneen, is the law against donkeys being in bathtubs, which, as we discovered, really started from a donkey dying in a flood because he was in a bathtub and got caught in the river break. And yeah, some farmers got PO'd about it and said, you can't put a donkey in a bathtub. And so they passed a law that said exactly the same thing. The awkward human sounds episode on paper, well, it's silly. In practice, it's about being human around other humans. Embarrassment is social. It's one of the ways groups enforce norms.
Exactly, Dr. Weaver. And honestly, sometimes people just need a break. Not everything has to be heavy all the time. It's okay to laugh at the shared experiences we all have, but pretend that we don't.
Also, those episodes are a good reminder that humor does not have to be mean. If the joke is people are gross, well, any third grader will tell you that, and that gets old. If the joke is we all live in bodies, and bodies sometimes inconveniently do body things, that's just honest.
Yeah, funny episodes, they're going to stay in the rotation. They're part of our balance.
Yes, they are. Now, can we talk about how different episode 200 is from episode number 1? Like, the quality jump is real, guys.
Oh, yeah. We learned what good enough sounds like and what it doesn't. We got better at pacing, transitions, and cutting what doesn't serve the point. And also, to be just 100% honest, I'm the tech guy for this podcast. And guess what? I didn't have anybody to tell me how to do it, how to be the tech guy. I had to learn. And it was sometimes a pretty steep learning curve, but fun.
I think it's been a learning curve for all three of us.
Absolutely. We also learn how to disagree on mic and how to have conversations without turning it into a fight or structuring everything like a classroom lecture. People get tired of that. And that sometimes when you've been a professor like we both have been, that's harder than it seems.
Oh yeah, and I'd like to add from my, point of view, my 1 year vantage point here. There's a rhythm you don't actually appreciate until you're actually inside it. Hosting isn't just talking, it's listening, keeping the thread, knowing when to get out of the way, and might I add, learning from your co-hosts.
Yeah, that is something that you really can't teach. You really can't say what it is, but when you're doing it, Chandler, as you're kind of pointing out here, it just becomes something that's okay. Because I remember when you first came on that the pacing sometimes was a little awkward, and yeah, that made a whole lot more editing I had to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we did learn the difference between being confident and being careless, Early on,
Absolutely.
yeah, hopefully we have, and probably have still more to learn. Early on, it's tempting to say things like they're final. Now we're better at saying this is what we can support.
Also, we got better at making each host matter. The show is stronger when it's not one person talking and two people just reacting.
Agreed. The three-person format works when each person has a role, structure, context, and the listener's point of view. Not a script, but an actual conversation that has meaning and purpose.
And the biggest improvement, we learned how to keep it friendly without forcing bits. People can tell when you're performing a podcast instead of actually hosting one.
You want it to feel like you're sitting in on a smart conversation, one that's open to multiple ideas and doesn't waste your time.
And one of the other things is we've really learned from our listeners. And let's really give some credit where credit is due because listeners changed the show.
Totally. Listeners push back when something isn't clear. They send corrections. They ask for follow ups. They suggest topics that we never would have even thought about.
That happened very recently with our Aaron Burr podcast. And listeners remind us that different people listen differently and want different things. Some want a practical takeaway, some want the history by itself, some want the mystery angle and multiple points of view. Balancing these needs is part of why the show evolved.
Also, the fact that people listen consistently tells us we don't need to chase trends to have value. Curiosity, as they say, is evergreen.
And when someone says, "Oh, I told my friend about your toilet paper episode," that's the funniest compliment in the world because it proves that the concept actually works.
It also proves that things dismissed as everyday are not small. They're relatable, which is its own form of importance.
And it's why boots on the ground matters. Listeners keep reminding us they want the real world version of history and ideas, the version that touches daily life, not the version that floats above it. So, what's next? Where do we go from here?
I want more episodes where we take something that people argue about online and slow it down. Not to both sides everything, but to actually separate facts, opinions, and misunderstandings.
I like to see more episodes where we revisit a topic after some time has passed. What we got right, what changed, what we'd update. That's a very healthy habit.
Yes, and it'd be nice to have more listener driven episodes, Q&A, rapid fire myth checks, and maybe occasional best of theme compilations like Everyday Objects Month or Strange Laws Week or cover ups, claims versus evidence.
And we should keep mixing tones. The show works because it can go from vacuum cleaners to government cover ups without sounding like two different podcasts.
As long as the method stays consistent, be clear, be fair, be open to different points of view, and don't waste the listener's time.
Yeah, that is really the mission. And boots on the ground is the compass. The past isn't dead, the present isn't isolated, and the future is not random. History tends to work in patterns, repetitiously. If we can trace the thread through details, we can see what's coming and maybe steer it in a better direction. So, rapid fire time here. Each of us has a quick answer, no speeches.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Proceed.
1. Favorite everyday topic?
Toilet paper. It's a perfect example of how basic stuff has a long history.
Vacuum cleaners, technology plus culture. It's sneakingly rich.
2, topic that surprised you the most.
How often do the same patterns repeat in human behavior? Panic and humor are confidence without evidence.
How many people care about the small topics when you explain them well?
3, episode category you'd never drop.
Oh, funny episodes. Definitely. People need the pressure of Valve.
Historical context episodes. Without context, we're just reacting.
4, best part of doing 200.
Hearing from listeners that say that the show actually made them more curious.
Knowing we improve through repetition and feedback and not running out of ideas.
And my answer, building something that lasts because it's useful.
Hear, hear.
Well, that does it for episode 201, celebrating 200. If you've listened to one episode or all 200, thank you very much.
And thank you for expecting us to be thoughtful. That expectation makes the show better. My personal thanks to all our guest contributors as well, people that have recorded things with us. There's too many names to list them all, but my deepest thanks, and there's more to come.
Yeah, seriously, guys. Thank you so much for letting us be part of your routine. We don't take that lightly at all.
If you want to celebrate with us, send a message with your favorite episode topic, like everyday, serious, or funny, and what you would like to hear next.
If you're a newer listener, don't worry about catching up in order. Jump in wherever your curiosity lands, whether it's popcorn or the FBI working with the mafia.
Well, episode number 201 is down. Next stop, episode number 202.
Hey, thanks for listening in. We'll catch you later. Come on back.
Goodbye.
Bye, folks.